Batsby's one of the newest animists inside of Etheria Restart, and we just pulled for him recently on the channel. If you missed the pull video, go check it out. But today I want to determine if he's actually worth you pulling on your account, and we're going to be testing him out at 5 stars, breaking down his kit, showing you how we have him built out, and then taking him into battle. Before I go any further, though, I need to thank Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video, and if you guys are on the fence about playing, I suggest you do. Got a QR code and a link in the description that get you 10 free summons upon downloading the game and getting your start. Now, with me today, I have Hermes, who's our resident guide, gonna take us through just all of the brain work of this animus and really gonna determine at the end of the video if this is an animus for you and your account or not. Hermes, thanks for coming through, man. Let's start taking a look at this kit.
Hey, I'm excited. This is a pretty good one because it'll be interesting to see how he's used, because the way that the devs advertised him was that he was going to be used to help with some later game content, clearing some harder stuff. So I'm really hoping that he has a lot of use at 5 stars with a little bit not like great incredible gear, so that then as you invest more into him, that he'll really shine in those later game areas.
Yeah, I especially hope he'll be good. We invested 80 of our pulls on him, so let's hope that he's going to be worthwhile.
Gosh, yeah.
At least, and I got no luck in that, by the way. It went straight to pity. All right, let's start out with his S3. Let's take a look at this skill. I want you to talk about what you like about each of these and which ones do and don't matter.
Yeah, so this is actually a really interesting ability. Obviously, with all animus, you're really going to want to have lattice investment. This ability is no different. So when you look at the base ability, it deals 100%. He does damage to all enemies and has a 100% chance of inflicting vulnerable for 2 turns on enemies. For every time that he crits, he gets an additional 15% turn meter. What is really valuable about his lattice investment, is that at level 3, which is 2 lattice, he increases that up to 20%. So let's say you're in a battle with 5 enemies. You would, at that 20%, you upgrade this with 2 lattice. You would then have a 100% turn meter boost if he has a 100% crit rate and crits everybody out on the other team, which is really valuable, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds crazy valuable for sure. Now, we just pulled him on my account recently. Haven't invested any lattice yet, but I'm assuming that this is going to be your favorite skill of the 3.
Yeah, I think this is a lot of, and I didn't talk too much about the fact that it has the vulnerable as well, but this as a general AoE damage dealing ability is honestly super, super valuable, simply because, again, you're giving something that's going to give you a damage boost, giving a turn meter boost, and hopefully doing a pretty decent amount of damage to a lot of different enemies. So hopefully this skill is really going to be his crown jewel that's really going to pay off and make his kit very valuable and worthwhile.
All right, makes a lot of sense. I like you breaking that one down, but let's take a look at his A2, or I should say S2 as well, see if there's any value in that one.
Yeah, so this one, again, so a lot of his kit is really based around him critting. And so obviously you're going to see that with the modules. You sacrifice a little bit of attack to make sure you have that like very high crit rate if necessary, again, depending on your build. But you really want to make sure with an animus like this, you really have all of those, those crit rate, those crit rate, what is that, substats taken care of, or main stats, because you want to have them at 100% as much as you can, either with affinity matchups or just in general. Because of this ability, he does another AoE attack that has on a crit chance, on a crit, he has a 65% chance to extend all debuffs on the target other than control effects. So when he first announced this ability, there was thoughts like going around the community that there was a possibility this would extend control effects, which would have made him completely overpowered. So thankfully, it did not extend the control effects as well, but still, being able to extend all of the debuffs by an extra turn is crazy. And then again, on that level 3 of the lattice investment, you're able to then make that 100% instead of a 65% chance, which really increases that value as well.
Yeah, that also does seem valuable also. So you were worried that there was going to be too much damage being dealt when we heard the devs talking about this animus in the first place?
No, so there's always that worry, right? That they're going to make someone deal too much damage and it kind of overshadows everyone else. No, I wasn't worried about the damage being done. the worry was going to be that when he extends debuffs, that he would extend all the control effects. So your stuns, your freeze, your sleep, and all that. Because if you have a damage dealer that comes in and extends a 1-turn stun to a 2-turn stun, like you're basically wiped out your team in an arena battle. You're basically just done. Like you're stunned for 2 turns, you might as well just call it quits. Like your whole team is just out of the game for 2 rounds. Like it doesn't really matter what else you have. You're pretty much just cooked at that point.
You're a sitting duck at that point. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying for me. All right, and then we have the S1, which is Torrent.
Yeah. So this one is really interesting. So obviously on his base, he does damage to a single enemy with a 30% chance to inflict wound, which means they can't heal. And this can be useful in arena situations. Obviously, you don't want anyone to really be healing up. You want to keep them as low HP so you can kill them off as possible. But the bigger part of this is also going to be that for every debuff on an enemy, his damage to them is increased by 7%. And if that affinity is countered by Batsby, so that means, so he's odd. So if their reason, which is the red stuff, if they're countered by Batsby and they're the main target of the skill, this deals an increased by 20% additional damage, stacking up to 6 times. So what that really means is that, let's say that you have a reason main target. So it's a red affinity is the main target of the skill. When you are targeting that enemy, over the next 6 turns, it will do an additional 20% damage, scaling all the way up to 120% additional damage, which is crazy.
Yeah. All right. So there we're talking
so much extra damage.
Yeah, I was just going to say there. Now we're talking about all the damage that he does. All right. So now that we broke down the skills and you kind of gave us your understanding of what those are, the S3 is your favorite of the 3. That's where the lattice is going to be going right off the bat. Let's talk about modules a little bit and see. As I can see right now, we got him in a multiple onslaught with that plus 25%. We have with that crit damage as well. So it looks like it's all damage based right here.
Oh, 100%. This is a damage dealer through and through. Now, so what has been difficult and has been a gripe, I think, that we've talked about before on your account, is that with your Fury Edge, you haven't actually been able to get a good White Fang, the shell, that has Keen Eye and Harvest. So you have been forced to basically use Onslaught Keen Eye instead of Harvest Keen Eye, along with your Fury Edge, to really maximize your damage. And so that's why, if any of the viewers are wondering why this isn't a different, why it's Onslaught instead of being that defense ignore one, that's the reason why. But it's still a very good set. Like I said before, the biggest thing you're really focusing for him is going to be getting crit rate. You've got to make sure you're either super, super close or you're at 100% crit rate to make sure that you get the full effect of both his A3 and his A2 abilities. Then obviously all damages, you want to be at 100% anyways, but he is one that you basically need to be at 100% to really get the value out of his kit, more than just the raw damage.
Yeah, and I'm close right here, sitting up there at 96%, so just 4% below. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the shell that we're using as well. Like you mentioned, we are using White Fang here, which is getting that crit up, but maybe not ideal.
So I think the White Fang is actually a great one for him. And here's the reason why. Is because of the way that his S1 works, where it scales up based on how many times you're attacking, right? Over 6 turns, you get an extra 20%. Every time that the White Fang attacks and crits, which you're already, again, maxing out that crit rate, what it does is gives additional stacks of crit damage by 6%, up to 10 stacks. So that would be happening over 5 White Fang turns. So you're thinking about it with Batsby and his A1, and then getting the boost from White Fang as well with the crit damage, he has really good scaling potential if a fight takes a little bit longer. So if you have more of a very debuff oriented team that you're using, where you're using his A2 to extend those debuffs, you're using his A1 to help his A3 to cycle through turns, and then his S1 to really be doing like a lot of single focused damage. Those things all come together really well with White Fang, which is able to passively increase the damage dealt by Batsby.
All right. That makes sense. Thanks for the clarification. I think we should show him in battle and actually run our test right now to see if at 5 stars, if he's going to be worthy of other players' accounts. All right, so I started out the team with Batsby right here. Who else are we going to test out in this team in investigation?
Well, so I think, again, you really want to look at his kit and who's going to pair up well with. what you're really going to be looking at is obviously Lily is going to be the big one. Additional damage, amplification, cooldown reductions, helping with that A1 with the counterattacks. Everything else can be really good with that. Kloss is going to be great for your debuffer. You think you're using Kloss and then you're going to be using Batsby together, you're able to extend those debuffs by an additional turn, and that's really valuable as well.
Okay.
And then I think just get a little bit of increased attack out there. I think Valerian is probably going to be a good one to go with for the last pick, just to make sure you're getting increased attack out there together.
Okay, so I just took out the team, threw a shell back on Kloss because we were missing a shell, and now we're ready to go in. I'm going to go in on auto on this right here, and Hermes, I'm going to start the battle right now.
Yeah, so the big thing we're really going to be looking for is his damage numbers, making sure that he's got some pretty decent numbers, hopefully, in this battle. We just got to wait and see what we're looking at. This is a cool looking animation, though. I do like this animation, and that's pretty good. I like those numbers. The reason that last guy didn't die was simply because he didn't crit. Ooh, wow, okay. I mean, the good damage coming at him. This, we're going to get some... going through. I think we're going to see this A1 ability coming up from him next. Oh no, he already cycled back around. Oh right, because of the reset. Back around to this ability. Wow, okay.
I'll tell you, it looks like he's dropping quite a bit of damage. Remember, that's only at a 5-star right there too, Hermes.
Right. I mean, he doesn't have very high attack because of being 5-star. His speed is a little lower. He's got no. You only pulled one because 0 luck. So 80 pulls got you only one. So you didn't get any dupes either. So at 5-star is pretty good. Let's try one more because I want to see some of those numbers again to see maybe he can crit the whole wave out and then really move on to that second wave a little bit faster.
All right, let's do it. I'm gonna go in manual again, same team, same setup, everything. We're gonna go right into the battle. See what happens this time.
Yeah, because I'm hoping he gets those full 5 crits. Because there's an unlucky like 4% that happened. So it's just gonna happen in those kind of situations. But I love this animation actually. Like I will say, for everything else, like this is yeah, there we go.
They do a nice job of making these animals look cool, man. That's one thing.
He got so much turn meter that he got his turn again before Lily, and so now both of his skills get their cooldowns reduced. Like this. Ow! This is big time damage dealers. To pair with Lily as well is actually really good for him. Yeah. Because of the way he worked.
Not at all a pay to win team at all.
Oh no, definitely not.
I don't know, man. Just from him at 5, man. Actually, I'm pretty impressed on the type of damage and the wave control he was doing right there. What would your recommendation be? Do you think he's worth it?
Yeah, honestly, after seeing what I'm seeing with this, I definitely do. Like his attack was really low. For being 5-star, he had low attack, making sure he had super high crit as well. So I think he really definitely has a place. I think if you've got the summons to get him, I definitely say to go for him. Again, if you're new to the game, you're getting so many summons. I mean, you can go back and watch our videos about like when you're your first like 2 weeks in the game, you got so many summons. Like you'd be able to easily get him, and then do everything else you want to in the game. That I definitely think he's worth getting.
I agree. Just from what we saw just inside of this video, it seems like value is definitely there. And for new players that just downloaded the game, like you mentioned, you're getting so many of those summons right off the bat, and now you have a guarantee after 80 summons to grab him. I think it's definitely well worth it. Hermes, thanks for coming through and doing this test. I actually like this form of a video where we do some of our live testing, but inside of a video for everyone to watch. Hopefully it was valuable to everyone watching. And again, I need to thank Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video.